Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather today. I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin. I'd like to talk about the weather health risk for November 28, 2025. We do keep additional graphics available at tpatw.com. And of course, for those of you who shop Amazon, we have a patient weathered storefront on Amazon. It's amazon.com/shop/patient weather. And if you purchase through our front, we do get some support. Looking at the surface map for Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, you can see that high pressure, post-frontal high pressure, is dominating the eastern third of the country. But of course, looking then for the west, all the way from the Four Corners up to the plains, actually even into the northern Rockies, you can see the next unsettled weather pattern is unfolding. And of course, that big blue snow map covering both of the northern plains, even moving it into the portions of the central plains, and a lot of the, shall we say, lake effect snow across the east. Looking at our vitality index, and that's a composite map showing where all of the different weather elements come together to be a weather health risk. And you can see we are picking up that activity in the Pacific Northwest, really swath of large activity up and down the plains. And then of course we have that eastern areas, which is the post-frontal, but it's still suffering through that cold air for the second consecutive day. Looking at pressure change, and pressure change is one of those elements that is a real impact for certain individuals. We have rising pressure running across the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, northern Idaho, and Montana. We have rising pressure, again, post-frontal rising pressure with that supporting cold air, all the way up and down the east coast from Florida, across the Carolinas, and then all the way moving up to the eastern sections of the Great Lakes, Michigan, and east. Noticing, of course, that the pressure change actually does not make it into New England on Friday. Looking at temperature change, and what's amazing about this map is not the amount of temperature change, but the fact that the cold air is already there in the east, except for southern Florida, where it will then get still cold on Friday. We do see some new cold air outbursts coming into western Montana, and a little bit of warming, a very little bit of warming, there in the plains where that next low pressure center is brewing. Looking at POI, which is the availability of oxygen in the atmosphere, we will have a risk of migraine across that Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. Note, pretty significant in western Montana. And then we have a second consecutive day of a risk of migraine, stretching all the way from the Florida Panhandle up Alabama through Kentucky, Tennessee, and up into Wisconsin, the Great Lakes, and moving everywhere east. Note, this one holds just at the Vermont, New Hampshire area of the New England, but the most significant area of this risk is in Florida and the coastal area of the Virginias and South Carolina, a little bit of activity there in southern Canada, and of course that risk of migraine extends for all of the Canadian border cities all the way from Windsor on up to Toronto. Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Your comments are appreciated, and if you hurt, tell us where you're located.